Hi, I'm Ann.
And I'm John.
And this is
John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, and welcome back to John.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Well, we were there for a while, and then we were gone for a while, and now we're back for a while.
We were gone for months.
For months.
Months and months.
People were worried.
Were they? Nobody said anything to me, but...
Yeah, no. One guy asked me, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're back, and for those of you who are just now joining us for the first time ever, this is John and Ann's Wrestling Podcast, a podcast for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's about wrestling.
Exactly.
I know a little bit about wrestling. Well, I know a good amount about wrestling now, but I'm a newer fan, and John is... Well, John, how would you describe yourself?
Someone who should go out more and try other things. I like wrestling a lot. I watch a lot of it, probably too much of it. I think, so when this started, it was that I was a big wrestling fan, and I would sort of randomly talk to you about wrestling here and there. And then this was a way for me to be like, for you to organize our time together to say, like, how about we have 1 hour a week where you get all your wrestling out. You tell me everything about wrestling.
That was a joke.
It was, but it was a good premise for a podcast,
We talked about
too.
wrestling all the time.
We did, but I did really try once we had the podcast to be like, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
And then I just stopped talking to you altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we didn't do that. But I think what happened is you eventually got, and I'm not saying this is because of me, but over the course of this time that we've been doing the podcast, you did get significantly more into wrestling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I worry that it's people see me and they're like, oh, well, I'm not as into wrestling as that guy, so I must be in a healthy amount of wrestling. And just be careful, because I'm at such an unhealthy amount of wrestling that even being 50% of what I am is probably too much.
Well, then, I guess I have too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that was a detailed history of this podcast.
Yep, you know me.
That is now a video cast.
Yes.
It's a vlog, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to mostly do the same thing, to be honest, but we're going to do things differently too, I think. But let's start off by talking about what's happened since we've been gone. Can I kick us off with a topic?
What? Yes,
I'm going to kick us off with a topic.
Yes, you can.
My topic is this weekend, our podcast came back, but also so did Mercedes Moné.
Mercedes Moné or Mercedes Money.
Mercedes Money. I always say it wrong. I say Monet. Don't say Monet. It's money. Mercedes money.
Yeah, well, it's Monet, right? It's sort of halfway between, right? It's supposed to be like money. It's just Mercedes money.
Money, yeah.
Money.
Yeah, because her song goes money. So I think it's just money. And yeah, but she's back.
She's back, and she looks great. She's doing great. Had a great match.
She did look great. She had furry leg warmers, which was reminiscent to your old XSW character. It was a huge nod, actually.
Yeah, she was. She said while she was away from WWE, she studied a lot of tape, a lot of which was extremely serious wrestling. XSW.
For those unfamiliar, XSW is an indie wrestling promotion that is a comedy wrestling promotion. However, it is extremely serious.
Yes, exactly. And so the matches are similar to like a sketch. Set in a wrestling ring type deal. And so, she said she was heavily inspired by that. Cheeto Dust was her favorite wrestler. These interviews are out there. You just got to search for them. Sometimes they get deleted, so it can be hard to find them after the fact. But she said all this. So she had the leg warmers, the Cheeto Dust leg warmers.
Yeah. And anyway.
Yeah.
That was a joke. If you're not familiar with us or wrestling, you're confused, but that was all a joke. It was actually a nod to another wrestler whose name escapes me at the moment. John, please know it.
The first person I'm thinking of is Bruiser Brody, because he used to have like furry boots, but I don't think that's who it was.
The girl who...
Oh, Hana Kimura, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I am familiar with her. I am not familiar with her gear, so I wasn't
sure, but
they did say...
It was fully her gear.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I saw photos on Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
But this is why it's good to have guys like John around, because he knows things when I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I enjoyed the match. It was a great match. It seemed to be received well by most people.
Yeah, it was so good. And it was somebody she'd worked with before.
Kairi Sane.
Yes.
Kairi. Just Kairi. It used to be Kairi in WWE. Now it's just Kairi. She's a pirate.
That is, there's no more context. She's just a pirate.
She's a pirate who wrestles people.
Yeah. And she was great. And it's, so that IWGP Women's Championship is a championship that New Japan has introduced for Stardom wrestlers, which is like their sister company, because they're owned by the same overall company. It was for them to wrestle on New Japan shows, so they could have more women on the shows, and highlight Stardom wrestlers on New Japan shows. And Kairi went up against another big Stardom wrestler, Mayu Iwatani, and they had a great match, a historic crossover. But Kairi is obviously was the most internationally famous person in the company in Stardom, because she had been in WWE for several years. So it seemed like the title was kind of just hers for as long as she wanted to have it. And then a more famous person showed up and is now the champion. But
she seemed okay with it, though.
She
they
seemed
hugged
okay with it. Yeah.
At the end of the match, they hugged.
Yes, they had a great match. They did have
really
a great hug. It
nice.
seemed very emotional for both of them.
Yeah. They hugged, and Kairi put the belt on her, which is a huge sign of respect.
Exactly. And I think, I'm putting it on Mercedes was absolutely the right move. She's a superstar, and she's going to draw tons of attention to them.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's a great wrestler. She can more than keep up with and exceed the Stardom level of.
I now subscribe to New Japan.
Yeah.
I would never have otherwise subscribed to New Japan. I've heard great things about it, but I'm not deep enough into the world to make the time to watch another promotion. I'm mainly an AEW watcher, and sometimes I watch WWE for their women's division. But now I have this New Japan membership, so I'm starting to watch that. And they've got a new fan out of me. So hopefully all the money they paid her was worth gaining me.
Yeah, your $8, $9 a month.
$9 plus the $20 I paid for the pay-per-view.
That's right. We bought Battle in the Valley.
Although I bought it when you normally would have probably bought it, so I don't know if it was a net positive.
Yeah, they were probably looking at the stats. They're like, no, we evened out here.
Yeah,
no,
it's just everybody's girlfriends got into it.
Yeah, unfortunately, all these guys that were going to buy it now.
Really, that would be amazing if it was true, because it would mean so many New Japan men have girlfriends.
Yeah, it would really.
Aww.
It would really be quite the shocker.
I zinged them.
But yeah, no, it was a great match. It was just incredible how great she looked and how well she moved and everything. I mean, it's not like she hadn't wrestled in 5 years, but she hadn't wrestled. I mean, in front of it, in an actual show. I'm sure she was training a lot, but she had not wrestled in an actual show for 9 months.
9
or
months,
something.
She said it was going to be her baby.
Yeah, and
if you don't know, 9 months is how long it takes to make a baby.
How long?
9 months.
Okay.
What'd you do?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, we're canceled.
We're canceled. Why are we canceled?
Because the equipment was broken by you.
Oh no.
I'll put it over here. Will you grab that Dragon Ball Z man out of there?
Yeah.
Just talk about Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, could I? Oh man, Dragon Ball Z.
Don't do it.
It's a Super Saiyan Goku.
Don't do it.
I got it at Epcot Center somehow. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, now all the Disney adults are gonna watch us. I don't want them.
Oh no.
Just
kidding.
Epcot.
Epcot.
We love the Disney adults.
We love them.
Anyway, okay, so now what do you want to talk about? I talked about Mercedes.
I wasn't, I guess, necessarily done with that, but she looked great, and she wrestled as a heel, which was great. She was clearly, I mean, not like a full on heel, but she was definitely quite heelish. Certainly more than Kairi was in that match.
Yeah. I said this to you already, but I enjoy that in kayfabe, technically, if you're not acknowledging any backstage drama whatsoever, she just stormed out of WWE because she heard there was another championship to win, and went and won that championship because she's just so greedy for championships.
Yeah.
Like, if you're fully just in kayfabe, that's what happened.
And that's a great justification for it.
It is. It is.
But she was great. And then Battle in the Valley was a great show. The New Japan just restructured their U.S. division, New Japan Strong. So they were doing tapings every few months, and then doing cutting them up into weekly episodes, and then they would do 5 pay-per-views a year or something. And now they're going to just do the the U.S. pay-per-views, like Battle in the Valley,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're going to cut those up. So they'll be on Fight TV for pay-per-view, and then they're going to cut them up into episodes for their weekly show.
Oh.
So you can watch them over a period of time, but it'll take time to get there. But I think that's a good way to do it because then it makes the weekly show feel more important, and you can see it with just the New Japan subscription if you want.
Wow. So you're saying I spent $20 I didn't have to spend?
Well, we saw it much earlier than we would have, and I would imagine her match is probably going to be towards the end of that run, so it would probably be like at least a month away. But yeah, it was a great show. Eddie Kingston versus Jay White is one of my matches of the year already. Eddie,
I forgot Eddie was.
You were watching Eddie Kingston, something with Eddie Kingston earlier, and from the other room, I could hear it, and I couldn't understand any word he was saying because it was too far away. But I could hear like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." Like you could just hear the Eddie Kingston like
he does have
voice.
a great like Macho Man style of speaking, like not exactly like Macho Man. I'm just saying like in the vein of like that type of person who is a character just when they talk. I was watching what you overheard was me watching him confronting CM Punk.
Oh, that was great.
And it was really great.
At the
really
time,
great.
I was trying to be like, well, Punk's cool too. And now I'm like, oh man.
I know, especially when you watch it with hindsight, you're like, this is the best 8 minutes of television I've seen in a long
Eddie
time.
Kingston's just spitting a lot of truth here. And,
and it's funny because he says the same things about MJF.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you got to wonder how much of it's...
You got to wonder, because with the Punk stuff, I think he was probably being very honest.
With the Punk stuff, we have the hindsight to know that CM Punk actually was a jerk. So when Eddie was coming out and saying, like, you're a narcissist and everybody hates you in the locker room and you're such a jerk, at the time it was like, oh, Eddie, what a thing to say to the beloved star. And now it's like, oh, Eddie, you were trying to warn everybody.
Yeah, and then when a wrestler tells you you're a narcissist, you know, you really it's like a comedian telling you you're a narcissist. It's like,
but
yeah,
no, that
the
was a great
MJF stuff
promo.
is hard because sometimes you can't tell. Even in the CM Punk like infamous All Out thing when he was like talking about MJF being a dick, I was like, this always feels like they're talking about the character, or they're doing it on like. It still always feels like they're talking about him as a character, even if it's like slightly blurred. Yeah, the Eddie Kingston stuff. I mean, also in that feud with Eddie Kingston, people were cheering for Eddie Kingston, and I distinctly remember people booing CM Punk a lot in that, which was like kind of the first time people had been booing Punk.
Well, it's hard to boo Eddie because he's such a...
He's an everyman,
He's an everyman.
And he's so genuine.
He seems warm. He's got a warmth to him. He exudes warmth.
He's like... at the same time has so much darkness but also so much love and warmth.
Yeah.
And he's so relatable in so many ways and is also like a great performer. Mm-hmm. And he's just really...
He seems like the kind of guy that like if somebody was messing with you on the street, you'd want to run into. You'd be like, help. This guy's bothering me. And Eddie would be like, he's bothering you?
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to beat him up.
Yeah.
Then
he would just talk to the guy and tell him like how sad he is.
Or he'd beat him up.
Yeah, and he would beat him up. Yeah.
Yeah. He beats people up, that Eddie.
He does, and he beat up Jay White, and it was a great, fantastic match. Jay White had just previously had a match at one of the New Beginning shows for New Japan in Osaka, I believe, and that he lost to Bullet Club up-and-comer Hikuleo, who also has rumors that he may be going to WWE, but they had a loser leaves Japan match, and Jay White lost, and it was also a very good match. They had a moment where he tried to...
police came and escorted him from the country.
Yeah, basically. And so he got banned from the country of Japan, and then he went and he was like, that's all right, I'm going to take over New Japan Strong because I've been there a lot, and he did actually work a lot of those shows, and he was like, I'm going to take over there. And then apparently they added a stipulation to him versus Eddie Kingston, which Eddie had been trying to get this match for like months. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the show in New York, it was Eddie and Okada versus Jay White and, was it Kenta? Or was it Juice Robinson? That's who it was, Juice Robinson, Bullet Club. And this was a big deal for Eddie, and they were like, okay, fine, you want loser leaves town. Or it was the stipulation was if Jay White lost, he would leave New Japan. If Eddie Kingston lost, he would leave New Japan unless he begged Jay White to let him wrestle there again. Mm. And so Eddie Kingston won, and it was a phenomenal match.
We were happy. I went like this, yay.
I was very excited. Well, you were kind of getting tired watching it live, and then Eddie Kingston showed up, and you got all excited.
I was like I was trying to
Yeah.
watch it live. It didn't start till 11
Yeah.
p.m. Eastern time, and I had already watched Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
So I was getting a little wrestled out, as I say.
Yeah, it was a
and
lot.
I was about to fall. I was like falling asleep on the sofa, and then I hear, "In the world is cold,
Oh,
better bundle up. But the world is cold, better bundle." And I was like, Eddie. It was so exciting because it is like, he's not a Sesame Street character, but it's a little like, hearing the Muppet Show music or something where you're like, something fun is going to happen. A nice person's here.
It's time to make the music.
Exactly. Yeah. I equate him with, like a Fozzie Bear or,
I want to see Statler and Waldorf try to heckle him, and then him just talking about, like, a time he thought he was going to kill himself.
Until Homicide stopped him.
Yeah, and then they're just like, Jesus.
Getting a little heavy there, and I don't mean physically, but I also do mean physically, because they would definitely make fun of him for that.
They would.
That I learned that from the CM Punk thing, that he's self-conscious about his weight a little bit.
He is. He got into supposedly got into a real fight with Sammy Guevara over something like that.
Oh wow!
Remember, Sammy Guevara had like a series of fights backstage. What was that Andrade one where apparently Sammy didn't actually take a swing, but Andrade did. Anyway, we'll see. Well, we don't know if Andrade's going to come back, but yeah. So then happened Jay White, quite a legendary New Japan career. He was great, and then
goodbye Jay White.
Goodbye Switchblade, and he tried to do a little promo afterwards, and he got attacked by David Finlay, son of wrestling legend Fit Finlay. And David Finlay's always been like a really good wrestler who's like a pretty straightforward babyface, so has good matches, but is otherwise not that. And then he cut a quite impassioned, really shithead promo.
Yeah, he was mean.
Yeah, he was real mean, and it was great.
If I had a name like Fit Finlay or Finlay at all, I would want my gimmick to be that I am a fish.
Finn.
I just think that's what you should do.
Do you think Finn Balor should be a fish?
Actually, yeah, I really do. I think Finn Balor not having some kind of fish gimmick is ridiculous to me.
It is. Yeah.
When I learned he was like just a demon, I'm like, what? His name is Finn. He should have a little fish.
He should.
Or be a little fish, or like an Aquaman gimmick where he talks to fish or something like that.
I'm going to call help if I have trouble.
Or like he doesn't have arms, he has fins because of a horrible accident with toxic fish waste, Or
he was mutated.
Yeah, exactly. He has some kind of fish power.
Mm-hmm.
These are my thoughts.
All these guys are Irish. What are you talking about? All these Finns.
Yeah.
Finn Balor.
But I really
Finlay.
only have room for like 2 Irish people in my head, and their names are Becky Lynch and Sheamus.
That's true.
Sorry, Nation of Ireland.
Finley's also from Northern Ireland, technically.
I can't believe our first video episode, I'm like really going hard on like the Nation of Ireland.
Yeah, well, we want to get canceled as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Not
we
don't
just
want to have to
canceled as a show, but canceled as people.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. We want to. I don't want to do this every week. Come on, This is exhausting. But yeah. So anyway, Battle in the Valley was a great show. Some really other great stuff on it. Definitely check it out if you can. It should be up on New Japan. Well, I guess so they used to do like, I don't know, 2 months later or something, or a month later, they would have the U.S. pay-per-views would be on NJPW World, their streaming service, on demand. But with the new taping structure, I don't know, it might take time. It might be cut up into episodes of Strong. But either way, it'll be there.
Yeah.
So check it out. It was also great just to see, like, WWE had a big show, but it's just great to see like this New Japan show being great and just being such a happy, fun show, and being like, there's just so many. I just love other wrestling shows. You know what I mean? I love seeing big, fun, happy wrestling shows that are good and enjoyable, and everybody's having a great time, and nobody needs WWE. I'm not even trying to shit on WWE.
It ended on a note. Well, you can't because you've got a big WrestleMania logo behind you.
Yeah. We got the Money in the Bank here too.
But it ended on a really fun note where Mercedes and Okada are going to be a tag team together, right?
Yeah. It seems like they're probably going to do some sort of like New Japan Stardom crossover, and I was like, oh yeah, they're both money. They're both money. Because he's the Rainmaker.
Money.
That was after he said that he and Tanahashi should go after the tag team titles, which would be cool. It's also incredible how Tanahashi has been wrestling so intensely for so long. He's on like the back half of his 40s now, which is not like super old or anything, but in athletics that can be starting to get into. But he always has fantastic matches when he's in these like big main events, even if he like is a little bit more like moving a little bit more gingerly in like smaller matches and tag matches. Like I remember he was on Dynamite and he was in a tag match with Moxley to promote Forbidden Door, and he looked like okay, but he was definitely moving a little slower and being pretty safe. But then when they had that Forbidden Door match, he just like lights it up. I mean, it's just incredible. That's probably how he's able to do it. Is he like will turn it down a little bit when he doesn't need to.
Jericho's like almost 50, isn't he?
Jericho's like 52.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jericho's also been wrestling quite an intense
does a lot.
style.
I mean, he doesn't do as much as I feel like he used to. He's kind of more of a talker now.
Yeah, he does do a lot of that. He picks his spots. He wrestles more frequently than
he needs to.
That he needs to, for sure. But he doesn't. But he knows what he's doing. He's adjusted his style quite a bit.
He has.
But yeah. Anyway, so Battle in the Valley was great, and then of course we had. Should we? Yeah, let's go. But yeah, they're going to be a tag team. It seems like, or they're going to do at least one one-off match, and it'd be great if she joined Chaos. That's Okada's stable.
Yeah.
And that's his faction in New Japan, and but yeah, I was like, oh yeah, they're both money. Money.
We don't have the rights to it.
No, we don't. Cut. So they'll be like, that's too accurate. You sung that too well. But yeah, then
what do we talk about next?
Well, we have. I was trying to think of if we should do something else, but let's just go right into it. So the other thing that happened was Elimination Chamber.
Yes, Elimination Chamber was the same evening.
It was the same evening.
Very same evening.
Earlier in the night.
Now, the concept of an Elimination Chamber is that it is a chamber that you go into and then you are eliminated from it.
Exactly.
Did I explain that well enough, you think?
Technically. I don't know if it was... Yeah, technically. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's chamber...
Yeah.
And they send the wrestlers into the chamber, and they fight each other, and they one by one pin each other and eliminate them from the chamber.
Until there was only one man left alive.
Ergo, Elimination Chamber.
Yes. So they had Elimination Chamber, which was really a great, very enjoyable show as well.
I mean, I thought it was good. I was happy with how it ended. I mainly watched the women's match because that's how I am. And I liked the outcome. Asuka won, which was great and not something I was fully expecting, so I was happily surprised. But there were a couple problems. One, I'll say, is that they didn't even film Nikki Cross getting pinned.
No, yeah, they were.
And the second problem I have with that is they pinned her before Asuka even entered the chamber. They pinned her way early.
I feel like it took a couple of moves to take her down, but I wouldn't remember it because they were showing replays when she was eliminated. It seemed like throughout the night there were problems with directing.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like several times there were other
also,
instances
I was excited. Like Nikki and Asuka together is like such an exciting pairing, and it was just a bummer that she got eliminated before Asuka even was released into the match.
And yeah, that was very annoying. And it was like, oh, this is like one of the biggest stars in the match just got eliminated off camera, and then they had to show a replay of it. But yeah, like all night it seemed like they were constantly kind of missing big moments. Or like cutting away to things weirdly. I don't know if it was like a new director or something. Very weird. But yeah, that was annoying. Everybody did their best, but it was a good match overall. They had Liv Morgan's always out there working her ass off.
Liv was great. Yeah.
Carmella's also much better than people often give her credit for. She's a great character and she's very capable in the ring. She's a very good wrestler.
What would you say her character is?
Well, I mean, so now she's just sort of like super conceited, like hot lady who is just.
See, that's what I get. So I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she used to be like the Staten Island princess, but now she's sort of evolved into being like that lady got famous and rich, and so now she's like, she still is basically that, but she's good. Like, when I say character, I don't necessarily mean that she's got a good like, oh, she's a fish. I just mean that she's like, she understands like her personality and she emotes very clearly.
Yeah.
And she like her point of view her character's point of view informs the moves that she does instead of
Mhm.
just like doing moves or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
She
definitely
runs
did
away.
yeah,
in
she
ways
did
that,
the coward thing good,
Yeah, yeah.
where she was like running and hiding in other people's
Yeah.
chambers to avoid the elimination.
Yeah, wasn't she like casually stepping out of one and then moving into the other one because she was like, "I'm smart."
Yeah, she was going into them and like somehow getting the doors shut. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure how she was getting the doors shut because you're not supposed to be able to shut the doors yourself, I don't think, but
Yeah,
she did. But it was because she was running from Nikki, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because Nikki's cool and crazy, and
Yeah, she didn't want it.
so they had to immediately get her out of the match.
Yeah, you don't want her in there too long.
I was
yeah.
annoyed by that, but I mean, it was fine.
It was,
I
no,
didn't
it
hate
was.
it, and I was happy with the outcome.
Mhm.
But overall, I would give it a C.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for Chamber.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, well, yeah, they definitely had some issues for sure. And Raquel Rodriguez is.
Oh yeah, Raquel Rodriguez. I thought they were really setting up to win it,
Yeah.
and I was happy she didn't because I wanted Asuka to win more.
Yeah.
But you know,
I mean, Raquel Rodriguez is also still pretty new, so.
and I did think it was good that they took 2 people to pin her.
Oh yeah, they literally they hit her with like 3 finishers
Yeah.
to take her down. So she looked very strong
Mm-hmm.
in it, but she is still like very new, and I'm not like super on her train yet.
Not on the Raquel
Yeah.
train.
Not
choo
yet.
choo.
Yeah. Choo choo.
It's leaving the station. You're not on it.
Choo choo.
You're not going to take the train.
I'll take the next one.
Wow.
Yeah. But Asuka, now I'm on that train.
That's a good
You
train to
know?
be on.
It's
yeah.
a great train, and she
It's
is.
the future.
I mean, it's incredible, like the reaction she gets. I mean, she was gone for a while, and she came back, and she looks so cool, and she's just
Her
like
face paint is great.
Her face paint is great. I mean, she's always been a great wrestler, but the wrestling has been so crisp
Her face
and
paint
perfect.
is great, and it doesn't seem to come off.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And I'm like,
It's a
how is
tattoo.
this?
It's a tattoo.
What if
Asuka,
it's a
no.
face tattoo?
I mean, it looks cool.
It looks great, but it's white, and if it was a tattoo, that would be very painful because I think white tattoos are very painful.
Probably,
Anyway.
yeah. That's also just be a lot of ink. I feel like that would be bad for your skin.
Yeah, probably. I
But
don't know.
maybe I don't know if that's true though. I know nothing about tattoos. But anyway, it's not a tattoo that she has. But yeah, she looks great. I think it was the right choice because, to my knowledge, I don't remember her and Bianca having had like a big match before.
Mm-hmm.
Like they probably wrestled on a Raw somewhere for 3 minutes or something, or
Yeah.
even for longer. But like just like
Asuka's
no
just
heat
like
behind
a
it.
really believable champion.
She is,
You
and
know?
as is Bianca Belair, and they would.
Yeah.
I think they're like. I mean, Asuka could have like a Roman Reigns 2-year run. Like, well, she did. She did have that. She was
Mhm.
for a year and a half. She was the NXT Women's Champion, and for like 2 years, she was not beaten until she lost to Charlotte at WrestleMania for no reason, and then
Charlotte.
congratulated her. And then Charlotte immediately lost the title the next day to Carmella.
Now that we're talking
Um,
about Charlotte, we can talk about the couple, the goat couple, and Judgment Day.
Oh yeah, that was a great match. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I didn't expect it to be good, but sometimes those like random not random,
Yeah.
but those like tag matches can be.
So this was a tag team between Rhea Ripley, Finn Balor, and Edge and his wife Beth.
Edge and his wife Beth.
Edge and his
Phoenix.
wife Beth Phoenix, who is a Glamazon / WWE Hall of Famer, but we call her Edge and his wife Beth as one phrase because that's often how it's said by the announcers, and it's also
Yeah.
funny to me.
Edge and his wife Beth.
Edge and his wife Beth.
She also had her face painted. I didn't realize like Bull Nakano, who was a legendary Japanese women's wrestler,
Oh,
and she also wrestled in the WWF.
I
for a
did like her
time.
face paint. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that match was great, and Rhea Ripley and Beth Phoenix had some they were the best part of it. They had some great
Yeah.
segments and stuff. And you want to talk about I was talking about Mercedes looking good after having not wrestled for a couple of months. Beth Phoenix doesn't wrestle on a regular basis anymore. And I don't remember. I mean, she has wrestled more matches in the past 2 years probably than she had in the past 10 before that, or maybe not that long, but 5 at least.
Yeah.
And she looked incredible out there.
She did look incredible. She was late on one hit.
There was she was late
That
breaking up a pin.
Yeah, she was supposed to break up a pin.
Yeah.
I did catch that.
Yeah.
I'm not letting people off the hook. I'm
No.
not one of these people who's just going to say everything was good. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you the truth.
Fair and balanced.
Fair and balanced. She was late breaking up a pin.
She was.
But we forgive her.
We
'cause
forgive her.
She's Edge's wife, Beth.
She's Edge's wife, Beth. And they've had a hard year.
And they've had a hard year.
And if Rhea Ripley wasn't going for Charlotte's SmackDown Women's title, I would have been like, we should just have Beth Phoenix versus Rhea Ripley 1-on-1 at WrestleMania. That would be a great match.
Oh, that would be super great. But Rhea Ripley and Asuka are probably 2 of my favorite
people on the show.
wrestlers
Yeah.
on WWE right now.
Yeah. I would agree.
I'm like, I would be happy for Bianca to retain. You know, I really love Bianca too. But I think if Asuka and Rhea are the champions, it would be a whole new era.
It would be.
Which is ironic because Vince is back, so it should be back to the battle days, really.
Yeah, it should be back to 3-minute matches, roll-ups.
They're shocking me with their willingness to maintain some level of interest in their women's roster.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure when they sell it. Well, they are. Yeah, I mean, Rhea Ripley and Asuka are two of the best like characters, wrestlers, and like personalities on WWE TV and in the world probably. And I mean, the audience reaction shows it. They're very over. Rhea Ripley's the best part of Judgment Day. I love Finn Balor,
She is Judgment Day.
She
God,
is Judgment Day.
I can't even.
People constantly compare like the House of Black and Judgment Day,
Mm-hmm.
and say like the House of Black is a much better version of Judgment Day, and they were around before Judgment Day. And it's like, yes, House of Black, even if they're not like doing always a ton,
They're definitely
just,
scarier.
Their
House of Black is
presentation
scarier.
is just so much better. Their promos are better.
Mm-hmm.
They're not on TV every week, so it just is very. And it's also just that AEW presentation. I think it's just better because it keeps them like a little more mysterious.
It's more for grown-ups.
Yeah, it is
in general. So you get the actual scariness with their masks and everything are just really terrifying.
But Rhea Ripley is just so good.
And Judgment Day is basically a vehicle for which Rhea Ripley can show up at men's matches.
Yes, with her sidekick, Dirty Dom.
Because she's just great.
Mommy and Dommy.
She's funny. She's tough. She's cool.
Yeah.
She's got a great entrance. She had a great stare down with Becky Lynch back in January, December that I don't think we got to talk about because I think we were probably on hiatus by then.
Yeah.
But I was watching it. I watched the clip like 12 times because I can't get enough of it, and I need that match. I need Becky and Rhea.
I thought maybe that's what we were going to do at WrestleMania because I do want to see more. I don't just want to see the women's title matches at WrestleMania. I want to see big, like, marquee matches in the way that you could have like Edge versus AJ Styles or whatever. That's
I mean, when you've got talent like Rhea and Asuka and Becky and Bayley and Bianca and all these women, it's silly to not have more than one women's match per show, per pay-per-view. You know, like it's just ridiculous.
Especially when WrestleMania is 2 days.
I know.
It's 2 shows. And they're like
nuts.
5 hours each.
It's nuts. Anyway.
But yeah, that match is going to be great. I mean, they could close out potentially one of the nights of WrestleMania. I mean, the second night of WrestleMania is going to be for sure.
I think Rhea
Cody
could
Rhodes
headline
versus Roman Reigns, but
sure.
they could definitely headline one of them unless.
Because I mean, the Roman Reigns storyline is good, but they kind of did it like at Elimination Chamber.
Well, I do think that Cody Rhodes.
They did Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, which was the match everybody was like losing their minds over. Yeah,
well, that was what we wanted. We wanted Sami Zayn to win. But, I mean, I watched a lot of WWE. I mean, maybe 1% of me thought at all he had a chance of winning that, just because I can see where the story is going.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to say that now after the show, but, you know, there was like 1 or 2 near falls that got me a little bit. But it was a great match, and the story is fantastic. Honestly, what I feel like is because a lot of people are mad that he didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel like the story they're telling is like a Pixar movie. It's like, you know, spoiler for the end of Cars. It becomes more important for him, for Lightning McQueen, to help his friend than to like win the race. Sorry.
I haven't seen Cars.
It kind of looks like you're on the phone. Hello? Yeah?
I'm trying to protect myself from Cars spoilers.
I haven't seen Cars.
Hi. Yeah, I haven't seen Cars. Can you protect me from Cars spoilers,
hum into
please?
your ear? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it becomes like, so it seems like he and Kevin Owens repairing their friendship and him getting some sort of closure with Jey Uso and dismantling the bloodline is the story more so than him just like winning the world title, which is a very nuanced story for WWE especially. And it also makes sense now because some people are not sure if Cody is even going to win the titles at WrestleMania, but I think he will because of the work that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have done, but mostly Sami Zayn to like fracture the bloodline because now Roman is going in. He doesn't necessarily have Jey to rely on, you know, and is like he's not as like confident. And he's got all this Sami Zayn stuff to worry about, and so now he's like Cody Rhodes. This could be the time, that he's most vulnerable.
Yeah.
and I do think Cody's going to win. I do really like this Cody story too. It just the only thing that is not even wrong with the Cody storyline is that it's happening concurrently with the Sami storyline. But they honestly, I shit on WWE all the time for being insanely illogical or just like nihilistically pointless. But their handling of both of these stories at once has been incredible because they've kept this Cody thing going and kept it compelling and kept people from like turning on him, you know, because people also want to see Cody. The last time something like this happened with Daniel Bryan and Batista at WrestleMania, everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to win, even though they already were like establishing they were going to have Batista win because like Guardians of the Galaxy was about to come out and Batista was like this returning guy.
You gotta make room for synergy, folks.
You gotta.
Story is secondary. Synergy matters.
Yeah, so everybody turned on Batista and were rooting for Daniel Bryan, but that was really a different situation because Batista had already been to the top of the mountain many times over, and he hadn't been around for a while, and he hadn't just wrestled with a torn like pec or whatever Cody had. And so I think Cody's kind of like won people over for life at this point, and people want to see Cody win as well. So it's basically like two Daniel Bryans at the same time instead of just the one versus like a Hulk Hogan. And people are like, well, we don't want the Hogan guy. We want, you know, Batista's much better than Hulk Hogan. I want to be clear. I'm not comparing Batista to Hulk Hogan in any way other than similar spots on the card.
I'm just gonna sit here and let you spiral about that for a second.
No, Batista. Look, Dave, listen to me. But they actually, it'd be great if Dave was listening to this. I'd be honored.
Just let him spiral. Just let him.
Oh God. What else? No, but I do think they're doing a great job with this. I do think it was probably the right move. Honestly, I would have cried if Sami Zayn had won, but it's not.
I mean, I think my problem
necessary.
My problem with it was, you know, it was a great match. There were all the near falls got me as well. I was very excited about it, but I knew just from talking to you that WWE never lets them win in their hometown.
Oh, that's
true. So I knew he was never going to win, and I hate that was right. Like, I hate that it was like, yes, we are still doing the same thing. You know? No.
Yeah, well, Drew McIntyre, they lost. He lost as well in the UK.
Well, yeah, and so Roman. It's like, I know going in, he's probably not going to win. If he does win, it signals WWE willing to do something wildly different than they would normally do. But because he didn't, I'm like, they aren't.
Yeah. It was really like a toss-up on which was the right call, him or Cody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I love Sami Zayn. You know, I've loved him ever since, you know, he first started wrestling in NXT in 2014 because he reminds me so much of this wrestler named El Generico, who I used to really love, who used to do stuff a lot with Kevin Steen. And then, of course, Kevin Steen left ROH and went to NXT. And, you know, we find out that Sami Zayn knew Kevin Owens as well. And, you know, when El Generico went to...
Yeah.
Back to Mexico to take care of his orphans.
Whatever happened to El Generico?
Generico, well, he was from an orphanage in Mexico, and he went back to Mexico to take care of the orphanage.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a nice thing for him to do.
But I think he trained Sami Zayn.
Did no one ever like tracked him down and see like how that's going?
Well, they respect his privacy. I mean, I think he does a good job. I think he must be doing a good job because nobody's really, you know, nothing. Like, no news is good news, you know?
Yeah, when it comes to orphans.
Yeah, I think he'll show up. I was hoping that he would have been, no news is good news when it comes to orphans. Sorry, orphans, no news today. All right.
No news about the orphans. I guess
the orphans are all doing great.
The orphans are just continuing to orphan.
Exactly. And so I was really hoping El Generico would show up to support Sami Zayn, but he didn't. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's kind of cold. Was busy. It's like weird that he just cut off everyone in his life.
Well, you know, I mean, the orphans needed him. But anyway,
this is now a kayfabe podcast.
Sami Zayn is great. I've been following his and Kevin Owens' careers for many, many years at this point. So it is very meaningful to me to watch them have their like reunion. And it makes sense because mostly Kevin Owens has turned on Sami so many times. And then Sami, you know, really recently in the last couple of years has finally like had enough of him and turned on him as well. But Sami's always been like the softie of the two. So like he's always the one. So it makes sense that he would like stop Roman Reigns from doing this and feel bad, and then extend his hand to try to like mend fences. And of course Kevin Owens is like, no, fuck you. But we'll see what happens. I think this is gonna be a very meaningful story. And the Jey Uso stuff is also like just a whole other layer of great stuff. Normally, I have no faith in WWE to like finish a story properly. I think a lot of people are not even expecting Sammy to get any sort of moment at WrestleMania, but I am confident that he and Kevin Owens will win those tag titles from the Usos, and he'll get some sort of closure with Jay. Also, my pitch now: Cody wins the titles, right, from Roman, thanks to Sami Zayn helping to like fracture the bloodline power base. And then Cody has his 2 world titles, the WWE title and the Universal title, which technically there's still 2 titles. And I want him to be like, cut a classic Cody Rhodes promo where he's like, I've been through hard times, because that's his dad's famous promo, right? Hard times. And, I got an opportunity for these titles, and I can't, it's not fair of me to keep both of these titles. I can't, and it's like, I can't even expect myself to be able to defend both of these titles, and so what I want to do is vacate one of them to give the rest of the roster an opportunity. It's very in character for Cody to do something like that. Have him vacate probably the Universal title, since he's on Raw, and the WWE title I think is the one he mainly wanted to win. And so he could put the Universal title back on SmackDown. You have a tournament for the vacant title. Finals are Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. Sami wins there. Maybe thanks to some Jey Uso help, honestly. That would be... Because Jey Uso hasn't like turned on him. That was the thing I was worried about, is that Jey was going to turn on him, and he didn't.
Yeah, I know.
He was still conflicted.
Yeah.
But now he's going to be like mad at Sami because he's like, you hit me at the thing. It's like, it was an accident. It's like, I'm so confused,
Yeah. There's no video evidence to show him what happened.
I know.
So there's no way for him to know.
That's always the hole in wrestling, is the...
Yeah.
Like,
how could I know that was an accident? There's no proof.
Like when they fist bumped like a week ago on SmackDown or something, and Jey Uso like looked around before he did it, and it's like, dude, it's on live TV.
Well, maybe El Generico will
show up and
feature
help.
into this
Maybe
somehow.
Maybe he'll show up and help. I don't know.
It sounds like Sammy could use a little of some friends right now.
God, that'd be so great. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and El Generico all reunite.
And Ezekiel.
Oh, did I tell you that Elias? Somebody asked him about Ezekiel in an interview, and he was like, "Yeah, I haven't talked to him. He's been in a coma. It's really hard for me. It's really hard for me to see my brother that way. This is
for
like,
the uninitiated. Elias is a wrestler, and he has a twin brother named Ezekiel.
Yeah,
who has shown up on WWE, and we believe Kevin Owens, who's been trying to tell everybody that they're the same person.
Yeah. One has a beard and one doesn't.
Yeah. And now I guess Ezekiel is in a coma.
Yeah. And so Elias was saying that
Elias
it's
just
hard
casually dropped that.
It's hard to see him, that way.
Yeah.
It was, it's really difficult for him. So he hasn't, there's not a lot of updates there. So that was really good. I talked about a lot of the stuff I was going. Apparently, Trish Stratus was supposed to be at Raw and was backstage because he's from Canada and they did it in Canada.
Nice.
Also, well, I'll talk about that in a second. But then they nixed the creative plans and she left. Apparently,
rude.
Yeah. Well, I don't expect her to
dramatic.
stay. It sounds dramatic, but apparently all the things are like they just changed their minds and they just told her she could go. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you would not just have her do literally something. I've seen the stuff they have legends do on the show.
Yeah, really.
It is 99.999% of the time literally empty nothing.
Yeah.
Like
I've
absolute
seen it
nothingness.
Too. I watched Raw 30.
You could have her do one exactly. It was that 90% Undertaker comes out. She could just do an entrance. Like there's nothing. You don't. What substance do you need? Like half of the time when you have these legends, they're just there to like make people go like, I remember that.
But
and that's
John, the thing about Trish Stratus that makes her different than all those other legends like Undertaker who come out and just wave and then go back. She's a girl.
She is.
I'm mad.
Sit with this. Sit with this.
I'm mad. I'm mad for all the girls.
I know.
They don't give it. They don't get enough.
Alundra Blaze played a poker game. You couldn't find a poker game for Trish Stratus to play? I don't know.
She could have just ridden a motorcycle around the ring like Undertaker did.
Whee!
Ride a bike.
Yeah. A yoga off with DDP. They both are big into yoga and have their own yoga brands.
Yoga rules.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go to yoga soon.
A yoga rules match. Oh, yeah. I guess I should start. I haven't even talked so much we haven't talked about. Switchblade Jay White, though, is he going to WWE?
We don't know. But we already talked about this.
We talked about that. But, well, the thing we didn't talk about is there were rumblings that maybe they wanted that WWE was after a bigger free agent. And I was like, I don't know who a bigger free agent is than that. Who was like somebody who apparently the rumor, the scuttlebutt,
Oh no.
Kenny Omega.
No.
I would be sad.
Never.
I don't think so.
Never.
Well, I would have said never, but then Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble, so who the hell knows?
Yeah, but
I don't think so.
never.
Also, the thing is with some of these guys, that I try to remember is that they're older, and perhaps Kenny Omega's like our age. He's not like super old, but he's definitely, he's been wrestling a very intense style for a long time, and maybe. Not that WWE is easier because you have a crazy schedule, but maybe he could work out a thing where he only wrestles on TV or something, and those WWE matches are often a little simpler, and they can be safer. Not safer, the other ones are dangerous, but they can be a little bit easier. You can just kind of wrestle some more similar matches, and I don't know. So maybe it's more enticing, and they can probably pay him more. So I don't know. I don't know what his. I don't know. They didn't say anything that he's gonna do it. I hope he doesn't do it. I don't want him to do it. But. I'm trying. I'm trying not to judge if he does.
I'd be really upset if he did it because there was all these videos of him saying hi to Mercedes backstage at her debut and everything, and
apparently she said she was nervous, and he was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
that would be a shame. I thought you were gonna say CM Punk.
No, there were rumors that like CM Punk was gonna come, but he's still under contract to AEW. Kenny Omega, I think, is like on an extension of his contract right now or something. So we'll see.
Let's. You said we had a ton more to talk about. So.
Well, we won't talk about a ton. I was gonna bring up women's wrestling and stuff in AEW. Oh, apparently, Tony Khan has a big major announcement
today
for Dynamite.
It'll be today because today's Wednesday. No, today's...
Yeah, for Dynamite.
Yeah.
Well, we can just
when
say
you're
for Dynamite.
watching this, it'll be Wednesday.
Yeah,
today
so I don't know
Tuesday
what it's going to be.
but...
We'll see what it was the last time, or one of the last times is he bought Ring of Honor, so I don't know. Maybe he's going to...
Oh, actually, I know what it is. I do.
You really know?
I do. Well, because I read something on a blog, and so I can't remember what blog it was at the time, but they trademarked a new name, AEW Collision.
Ooh, is that maybe a new show?
Could be. It's a trademark of a name of a wrestling entertainment entity.
Okay.
So it's maybe a new show, might be something. I don't know.
It's a show for the women to be on prominently.
I think I would hate it if it was, and they call it Collision, because it's like these women can't drive.
Terrible drivers.
These women are going to be running their cars all over the road.
Yeah.
No, but I think it might be a new show. That would be cool. Although they have so many shows already.
They have so many shows.
We were just complaining about this, about how so many people that we want to see end up on Dark or Dark Elevation.
Yeah, like Sunny Kiss and Athena.
Sunny Kiss, Athena, Hobbs.
Oh, yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs was on Dark Elevation, I think.
Yeah.
And Dark Elevation are fun shows. It's just like watching Dynamite and Rampage every week is already a 3-hour commitment.
Yeah.
I like, and Dark sometimes is like an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't necessarily...
It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, because sometimes they have like 15 matches on Dark.
Yeah.
And it's like they're short, but like I can't watch all this.
Well, now I'm just I'm basically only watching Dark Elevation or Dark because that's where all the wrestlers I want to see are. And then when I watch Dynamite, it's like fun. Like, I like Dynamite as a show a whole lot. But, aside from like MJF and Chris Jericho... there isn't anybody appearing on Dynamite that I like can't get enough of and need to see every week. You know what I mean? It's not that other people aren't good. It's just that like when you see the same people every week, it's kind of like
it can be a lot. John Moxley was supposed to be going. He was supposed to be on vacation months ago.
Honestly, even MJF, I don't necessarily want to see every week.
Yeah, which is why he's not there every week. Only when he's contractually obligated to be there. Oh, when with Jay White being out of New Japan now, Bullet Club is out a leader, and somebody tweeted at MJF. Maybe you saw this. They were like, "Oh, hear me out. What if MJF becomes the new leader of Bullet Club?" And MJF's response was, "I'd rather join the Bullet in my head club," which is he's very. Was there one more thing? Because there's other stuff that I would talk about. We can talk about it next week. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, let's talk about it next week.
I
was just gonna say because that made me think of my nerd fantasy booking. Maybe we could do a section called Nerd Fantasy Booking.
That's my whole life.
Where we say, like, a thing that could never, ever happen.
Okay.
But we'd like it to happen.
Okay.
And if it did, it would be our Nerd Fantasy Booking.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? Because I already know what mine is because I thought of it, like, weeks ago.
You can go first.
Okay, so my Nerd Fantasy Booking is for Rhea Ripley to win the title at WWE. But then, like, in some sort of, like, super dramatic fashion leave WWE and then come to AEW and take the belt off MJF.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That's my nerd fantasy booking. Thank you very much.
I am fully on board for intergender matches. I want to definitely present the women's world titles as being equal to the men's world titles.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like the WWE championship or whatever is like, it's going to be seen off a lot of times as the top title. And I just want people to be able to go for, like, anybody should be able to get that title.
I think it would be...
So Rhea Ripley should be able to be the WWE champion.
But I also just think it would be such a fun narrative twist for her to, like, debut in AEW after some horrible, scuffle at WWE backstage. And then, like, everybody's like, oh, Rhea's here. She's going to unseat Jade or something, But then...
beats MJF.
But then she interrupts MJF.
Oh, that'd be great. People would be all...
People would lose their minds.
People would lose their minds. No, like, I can't... Whenever anybody is, like, trying to argue that, like, the intergender matches, I'm like, first of all, get all that out of your head. Second of all, it's like...
First of all, wrestling is fake.
Yeah, first of all, wrestling's fake. But so even if you're
Vince
trying
McMahon
to make...
established that, not me.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon established that wrestling is not a real sport.
We're going to make it fake. It's just people would be into it. You can absolutely... If Tessa Blanchard wasn't seemingly not a great person, I was so excited for her to win the Impact World title. Also, you know what? We'll do, I probably have like a ton of these. Here's my fantasy booking that I don't think is going to happen, but I think will happen, and it's similar. I think Mickie James should win the Impact World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Mickie James is a goddamn legend, and she is...
I like that you censored yourself.
I know, yeah. And she is one of the reasons why Impact has not only survived but thrived in many ways. And I mean, she was a huge success for... I don't have to list Mickie James' accolades. Her career stands for itself, but she is so important to Impact as well. And they've already done like intergender title changes and stuff. So like, why? Like, she's had the women's the Knockouts world title many times, and it's like she's talked about retiring soon. And I don't see any reason why she couldn't win.
It's just
the world title.
It's an exciting way to spice things up.
Yeah, it is. And people would like, if you think like, when people are in like a specific division or whatever, sometimes there's a ceiling. When Becky Lynch wins every women's title in WWE, it's like, where we go from? It's like, oh, it's cool to see her. I still like seeing her. There's still stories to tell. If Becky Lynch can go for the Universal title, this is a very new ground. You think like
Becky Lynch, Sami Zayn, Battle of the Redheads.
I mean, that would be great.
I'm burning through all my fantasy bookings.
I know.
For this to be a regular segment.
And so I think Mickie James should win the Impact World Championship.
Okay, great. That's exciting.
But yeah, we'll talk about other stuff later. Was there another like small thing I wanted to mention?
I don't know. I have literally no way of knowing that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if there was one more thing here. What else?
Sometimes he asks me about thoughts he's having in his own head, and I'm like,
Oh, check out the GCW Jersey J Cup. It was a great show.
We went to it. It was fun.
It was there. Like, there's a lot of great wrestlers. They like Speedball Mike Bailey, one of the best out there right now.
Oh, he was great. We love Speedball.
Joey Janela, also great. A lot of great people in the show.
Your new favorite?
So there's this guy Jordan Oliver who is like has been doing well in GCW, but I haven't seen him a ton of. Right, and I was like, he was the only one in the tournament. It was a one-night tournament. It was the only guy in the tournament I wasn't super familiar with. So I look him up, find his Wikipedia. He's from Newburgh, New York. That's where my dad's from. I grew up like a lot of my life in Newburgh. And as soon as I found out that I was cheering for a bunch of different people. As soon as I found out that he was from Newburgh, I was like screaming for him the whole time.
845.
845. It's so funny to me for
That's the
somebody.
area code.
It's so funny for me to somebody be like, he's like billed from the 845 Newburgh, New York, like as though it's any sort of identity. Like, that's where I'm from, and it really is not a thing.
Oh,
also, before he was born, because he's only 23, before he was born, we were part of the 914 area code, and then they created the 845 area code, and I was in like middle school or something.
He's much younger than us.
Yeah, I could probably know his dad in high school or something. But so Jordan Oliver's great. GCW Jersey J Cup was great. Speedball was great. Commander was great. I bought a shirt from him. He was he was great with his fans. Support Commander. But yeah, there was check it out. Support
Yeah.
Support wrestling.
Support indie wrestling. We really love indie wrestling.
We love it.
And we're going to do more about indie wrestling in the future. You know what I want to do on March 10th? On March 10th, there's a House of Glory show featuring
Oh, yeah.
Max.
The Impaler? What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see Max.
Yeah, we can do that.
They're going to fight Ultraviolet, who we saw
Oh, yeah.
at the last House of Glory
she's
show. Yeah, she's their title holder.
Yeah, she's the
but
women's champion.
I
Kushida's also
I
going
think
to be
that'd
there.
be fun. Yeah, I think that'd be super fun.
Yeah, we should go.
So I think we should go to that.
You
We'll
should
be
go.
there. You should go too.
House of Glory is a great
It's
show.
a free ad for House of Glory that
Yeah.
we're doing on the podcast.
Go for it. And also, XSW is having another show soon, but I don't remember the date.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll have another podcast before that happens.
Yeah, we will. I have
Right.
a final thought.
Yeah, do you have any
But
final thoughts?
I'm going to change my final thought section, and I'm going to make it.
This is huge.
It's not final thoughts anymore. It's homework, which is a sexier, cooler name that everybody's going to love. Homework. My homework this week for myself
Uh-huh.
and for you, if you want to follow along, is to watch a documentary I became aware of in the last couple weeks called Gaia Girls.
Ah, yes.
And it's only available on YouTube in a, really grainy, like, bootleg.
Mm-hmm.
But it's apparently about Japanese wrestling, Japanese women's wrestling. It came out in, 2000. And it was repeatedly cited by Mercedes Varnado as something that inspired her when, she was watching it a lot. And a friend of mine at work, who's a film reviewer, who I will. Her name is Allison Wilmore. There we go. I said it. She recommended it to me and said it was good.
Wow.
So that's my homework. I'm going to watch that this week.
Okay.
If you'd like to watch it,
Watch it.
fans and friends, do it. All right. Is that it?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night and good wrestling. Who were those guys?